Washed graphics card test in 3, 2, 1. So welcome guys, this is the Stuff You Tech YouTube channel. We are about to do something crazy. We are going to wash this graphics card, and when I mean wash, I mean water. Probably not soap, but some running water under a tap, but we're going to give this thing a scrub. The reason why we're doing this is this thing is just absolutely filthy, and you watching this, you might have a graphics card that's absolutely filthy. And my question has been, how do you clean this thing properly? You can get compressed air, you can get all kinds of brushes and things to come and clean this thing, but I wanted to see what will happen if I take this graphics card and I just pour water into it and through it and I scrub it. Got my little toothbrush and we just scrub this thing and give it a proper wash. So we are going to try and see if that works. If we're going to do that though, we are going to need some parts. So we've got one filthy graphics card. This is the RX 470 Mining Edition graphics card. It does work. It comes out of a test I did previously in one of our previous videos, and it does work perfectly. So I'm willing to risk it to see if we can wash this card and if it will still work. So that's the goal. See if it will still work nice and clean after we've done this big wash down. Then obviously we're going to need some screwdrivers. So we've got a little screwdriver set. We might not need it. The reason I think why we might not need it, it only has 4 screws at the back. A normal sort of screwdriver will probably help for that. So it's just a star screwdriver. Just take those 4 screws off. Just a reminder, if you are going to try this at home, your warranty will probably be void. So if you have any warranty left on your graphics card, I would recommend maybe not doing this, or unless you don't care and you really just want to wash your graphics card and give it a try, then you can do that. You are going to have to remove the warranty sticker anyway when you open up the screws to detach the heatsink from the PCB. So I think we're going to end up with 3 parts that's going to be washed. We're going to take the fans off with the shroud. That will come off as one piece. Then we will have a graphics card with a heatsink on it. So we'll take the heatsink off. That will give us the exposed PCB board at the end, which we are going to wash as well. So the 3 different parts, we'll take them apart, we'll wash them individually. We will then try and take apart, if we need to, further the fans and stuff. I don't think it's going to be necessary though. And then we'll put them out to dry. So to do that, we're going to use this little towel, and yeah, we're just going to put it out, and we're going to try and put all the components on top of it, leave it for 24 hours and see if that will dry, and then put it back together, see if it will turn on and work. So we've got our little brush, we've got water. So let's do this. Let's see if this will work. So we are ready to now disassemble our graphics card. But look at the bottom of these fan blades. They are absolutely filthy. This whole thing is filthy. And you can see the dust just coming off. Another reminder, when you do this, don't lose your screws. I'm going to put them in my little container over there. So that's it. 8 screws. And there we have it. We have 1, 2, 3 parts to our graphics card, and we're going to wash this thing. I'm super keen, now that I've seen how dirty it actually is, I'm super keen to wash this and brush it off while we wash it and see a brand new card basically. So awesome, let's do this. I think I'm going to start with the fans just because they're the most dirty. Here we go. So far, so good. Let's save some water, shall we? Also making a noise. Okay, so the dirt is coming off really easily, which is expected because most of the dirt is just dust, I suppose. Some of the grime that's built up is taking a bit longer, but it is coming off. There we go. And I wonder if rust is going to be an issue. If you have some advice on rust implications when doing this, drop us a comment so we can have a look at that. Maybe spray it with something, I don't know, to help prevent rust in the future, but I'm sure that once every now and again doing it this way is not really going to cause a rust if you let it dry properly. I might be wrong, so let me know if I'm doing this wrong. I've never done this before, so I could be really just messing up here. Another thing I'm a little bit not worried about, but I think it's good for the card, is it depends on the bearings or the fan type that they used. I'm sure that running a bit of water through there is going to clean it up so that you get silent fans again if there's any buildup of dirt and dust and whatever inside the bearings. Or this could actually be making it much worse. I'm not sure. Anyway, I think that part is finished. It looks nice and clean. I'm quite happy with that. So let's go for our next part. So let's do the PCB next. This thing is filthy, so this is going to need a proper scrub. Wow. I'm not too worried about this bottom section here because we are going to reapply some heat paste. So I think that's fine. Just want to get all that nasty dirt out of there. So here we are, washing a graphics card. It's, I think this far it's been okay. This is just metal and plastic that we've watched so far, but the PCB is going to be the part where I might cringe just a little bit. I reckon that looks a lot better. I don't think I'm going to get it better than that. So there we go, that part's done. Now, the PCB, I'm just going to go for it. Oh man, this is so painful. Super painful to watch. Wow. I will clean up the thermal paste there afterwards. It doesn't work well with water. The goal here is just to clean it. Oh man, this feels terrible. I wonder if this can come off. Yeah, I'm going to take this off. Little thermal pad that we'll just put back onto the memory here when we're done, the video memory when we're done. So these cards all came with Samsung memory, which hopefully is still going to work now after we've done this. And then, oh man, have you ever seen water go like this into a 6-pin, or rather an 8-pin PCIe? Oh, this is terrible. What a terrible feeling. Okay, the back, gently at the back. It's got a lot of circuitry here, so not too much at the back. It's anyways not that dirty at the back here. This display is also not really that dirty. Just in here a little bit. Maybe a little bit there. Over all these capacitors, there's lots of dirt buildup over there. And there we go. I reckon that is enough of that. Cool. As you can see, it's already a lot cleaner. This thermal on here is super dirty as well. There's one last little rinse for good measure. There we go. I think that concludes it. Now let's just hope and pray that that this thing is still gonna work after all of this. Awesome. Time to let it dry.
A few moments later.
So 48 hours later, and here we are. The card was quite wet still after 24 hours. So I decided to give it another 24 hours. And the main reason for that is that the water that got caught in the 8-pin power connector over here, when I tilted it, there was still water dripping out of it. I kind of just blew into it and there was water coming out of it. So I decided I'm going to leave it for another 24 hours. And then I actually just added in a normal 12 centimeter fan or 120 millimeter fan that I just connected to our previous bolt, our Frankenstein bolt, just connected it into there and then let that fan blow over the card. And that dried it up over 24 hours. So this PCB looks 100% dry now. This part probably dried first, which is the aluminium heatsink. This was within a couple of hours, it was dry. And then this was dry after about 24 hours. I can't find any water or signs or anything like that on this. So I'm quite happy to now put this together and see what we can do. Just on a side note is these little thermal pads are still very dirty. I don't have the time to actually clean them now, so I'm just going to put them back just like this because I'm so curious to see if the graphics card is actually still going to work. So let's do that now and hope for the best.
So you're going to need some tissue paper to just remove and rub off that old thermal compound that's still stuck on there. Also, just make sure that when you do this, that you do get everything off, including those edges. You can be gentle, take your time, and just get all of it off for best performance. Otherwise, you're going to have old compounds stuck. So then once you've cleaned it all the way, then I would say put a pea size of thermal compound on the GPU. Any cheap compound will do. This is not a CPU that you're going to overclock, so it should be fine. And then I always like to just spread it all over the GPU. I don't do this with a CPU, but with a GPU, make sure you get into all the edges and that the entire die is actually covered. Next, we have to attach the heatsink back on. So just align the 4 screw holes again and just keep it in place. You will feel that it's making contact with your thermal compound. And then you obviously just have to screw in the 4 screws that you've put safely aside, hopefully somewhere. Just screw it in all the way so that it can't go any further. Then lastly, obviously, when you put your shroud on, just a reminder to plug in the fan power first before you try and attach it, and then just screw it back on to make sure it's all nice and secure. So there we have it, all done and dusted. This card looks amazing. It basically looks brand new after it had its bath. All the dust are gone, everything looks nice and tidy and clean. So let's test it out. Disaster struck, which seemed to be a faulty power supply.
A few moments later.
So it's working now. So it was the power supply. We just added in this power supply for temporary use, and that sorted out our issue. This card has been running now for about 15 minutes. You can see it's much cleaner, looks much better, so we're very happy with it. And there we have the benchmark actually running now completely. We're averaging about 65 degrees, so that's not too bad. Quite happy with that. And yeah, there we have it. So this card is definitely not dead. So super stoked about that. That brings this video to an end. Thank you for watching, appreciate it. If you liked it, please click that button now. If you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe, and then you can send everybody home that was waiting for a funeral for this graphics card, because it's still going. So awesome. Thanks guys for watching. See you next time. One thing we had to add was some thermal